What's going on, everyone? Today I am sitting here chatting with the one, the only John Moore. John, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing good. How about yourself, man?
Good, good, man, good. Um, so you reached out and we want to chit chat on here. How'd you find out about me?
Man, I just seen you on Instagram. You popped up and watched a few podcasts. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to hop on this and spread the word and talk to you, chat you up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, man. I just do this for fun. I like to talk to people, so we might as well talk, get our conversations recorded, and let others hear them. So,
For sure.
um,
You ever had a comedian on before?
I have not. So yes, John is a comedian. He is my first one. I have been wanting to do comedians, so this is my comedian cherry popping right now. So
All
thanks for
right,
being my first.
cool. Yeah, for sure, no problem.
Just be gentle, I think. So since we said that now, growing up, were you always into comedy?
Oh yeah, I was always definitely into comedy, like just watching stand up or watching like a funny TV series or something. Um, Always admired it. Always was a fan. I was definitely a fan first before I took the leap and started doing comedy.
Well, what kind of comedian? Like, well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
24, 24.
Okay, so what comedians were popular when you were saying your like early teenage years, or even younger than that?
Um, Probably like, well, I remember growing up watching like the blue collar comedy guys, Larry
Okay,
the Cable Guy, and then probably like teenage years. I want to say like Dan Soder, and it was like the tail end of Comedy Central.
okay,
Louis C.K. was big, I think.
okay. Like the whole what's his name? Like, do you like Mitch Hedberg?
Yeah, yeah, he definitely has a big like influence on anybody coming up
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. Style was so unique, and can anyone else do that? Sure, but can they deliver and be it like he is? No. There's only one way. There's only one person to do that style of comedy, and it's him.
Yeah.
For me, growing up, I was gr- I was eight. I was born in the '70s, grew up in the '80s. So the comedians in the '80s that I was watching was like obviously Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Gallagher. He was
Yeah.
probably one of my first like, oh, that dude's fucking hilarious. I didn't know what he was talking about. I was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was smashing watermelons and he dressed funny, so I was totally into him. Um, but yeah, definitely those kind of comedians. And then later in the '80s, or '90s, of course, there was I'm a huge like Mad TV, Living Color, those sketch comedy shows, obviously SNLs and stuff like that. Who's what would say what's one of your biggest inspirations as a comedian? Like who inspires you?
I would definitely say those blue collar comedy guys. I grew up watching them, and then like as I got older, it was more Mark Norman's,
Yes. Okay.
Joe List, those guys. Like as I right before I started getting into comedy, you know.
Yeah, Mark Norman's cool. Um, I'm actually right now. And into my background when I'm doing the podcast, I always have YouTube playing, and right now I got the Bobby Lee and the Bad Friends podcast going on,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, I like to watch a lot of these podcasts because they're everybody got to have a haha in their life. So what kind of like so you said blue collar? Um, is that your style?
kind of sorta. I grew up like working class, middle class family. Definitely grew up like hunting and fishing and stuff. So yeah, it kind of comes out in my style a little bit here and there.
Um, are you a clean comic? Or are you just whatever comes out comes out?
Yeah, whatever comes out, pretty much whatever I think is funny. I try to work clean here and there when I can,
Hmm.
because it's just easier to get booked that way. But at the end of the day, we got freedom of speech. So
Oh yeah, it's like I watched the other day. I watched the Nate Bargatze comedy special that he just released, and um, he's a clean comic, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, look at for instance Bill Cosby. Even though his allegations that later in the years, he was a
yeah,
clean comic his whole life, and he was huge, and Will Smith, same thing with Will Smith. He was one of those comedians. But yeah, there's I mean I like them all, whether you're I love dark humor. I know but I love some dark humor. But I just like good comedy. You know, if it's funny, it's funny. Um,
Right.
I feel like the comedy scene now is like the rock world back in the 80s. It's just like so many people out there and so much stuff to listen to, and it's cool to see that. What got you your itch to want to do it?
Definitely like being a fan first, and then watching all those podcasts, like you said. Like, yeah, I'm a fan of Bad Friends too.
Mhm.
You know, started watching that, and then I got into the Kill Tony podcast. Started
Oh,
watching it.
yeah.
So I was watching. I'm like, man, I think I can be better than at least half of these comedians sometimes. So I just decided to give it a shot, and yeah, tried it out, and it's just addicting. It's fun. I enjoy doing it, and just been sticking with it.
How many shows do you say you have under your belt? And when did you start, by the way?
I started in April of 2023,
Okay,
and then how many shows? I'd say probably about the 5 to 7 range. I don't know off the top of my head right now,
cool.
but
Is it hard to get comedy shows where you live? Where are you living at?
I live on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, so
Okay,
it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. But I am like an hour and a half from both Baltimore and Philly. DC is about an hour 45 minutes.
hmm
So I try and hit up there where I can, but just basically doing a lot of local shows. Sometimes I get some spots at the Port of Baltimore Comedy Club or the Port Comedy Club in Baltimore. Uh, and that's always fun. It's good times. It's always a good time running into the city and being able to do more spots, more open mics.
yeah. Is are you is it hard to get on on open mics and stuff like that, or is it pretty much pretty pretty easy to do that?
It's pretty easy to do, but
Yeah,
like from where I live, sometimes I'm driving 2 hours to go to an open mic, or and it's not easy or it's not hard to get on, but sometimes if you get there a little bit late, you might have to wait until you know 10:30 to get up, or if you sign up late,
yeah. I heard that like it's first come first serve, so you might get on and you might not go until 2 o'clock in the morning, and there might not be nobody in the club but you and one more comic that probably go up that's supposed to go on after you. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
it gets like that, and sometimes in the city it's like that too, or they'll they won't even do it in order of where you sign up. They'll just throw it in random order to like not random, but they try to put on a good show for everybody, I guess. So
yeah. They'll probably like it depending on the crowd. They'll pull the people they know that have been there before, and then I heard Ralph Balbosa say that he was doing a stand up, and it was like he was the last person on the thing. He played literally to the people at like the bartender and one person in the crowd at like 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, "But you got to play. You got to put your dues in. You got to start somewhere." And he goes, that I never got mad at that. He said because that night, it makes you want it more. Um, is there a big scene in up around you?
there's a couple little small scenes around me. There's the like Wilmington, Delaware scene. There's a few
Mhm.
comics up there. And then there's down in Delaware called Delmar, Delaware. It's like on a Maryland Delaware border.
Okay.
Little scene going on down there. They get like 20 plus comics going up there on an open mic night in like the middle of nowhere, and it's amazing. It's special. It's he would never thought it's there, and they actually just opened up a little comedy club out there called Dream Big Venues.
Okay. Yeah, we just got a new comedy. Well, I guess a comedy club here where I live in Clarksville. And I can't remember the name of it as of now, but years ago, before this comedy club even opened, probably 15 or so years back, I saw Pauly Shore here,
Okay.
and I like Pauly Shore. Okay, I mean, how can you not? He's a staple. His mom is the queen of comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She gave everybody their start, and she would tell you if you sucked. Um, but he had an off night. I get it. We all have off nights when we sometimes, and sucks though because that's the only time I ever got to see him.
Yeah.
But and when it was an off night, hit the openers were better than he was. But I think the crowd was just riling him up too much, and he was just I get it. It's a hard thing. You're the only person up there on stage with a microphone, and all you
Yeah.
can and you got if people are just constantly talking trash back and forth, I'm sure it gets annoying.
Right,
Um,
yeah, and like especially with like the TikToks out now, it's all crowd work. So
oh yeah,
when people go to a comedy show nowadays, they're looking to be like heckled or looking to heckle or be picked on by the comedian, and it's like, nah, man, I'm just trying to like do my material and get out of here. Like I might make fun of your shirt or something, but
yeah.
it's hard if you're not like a crowd work comic kind of nowadays. But that's just something that everybody's got to work on. I guess that's the way it's
Mhm.
kind of trending or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like any kind of thing, whether you're an actor or a musician and stuff, things change and you just gotta, adapt with it, I guess, or just do your same things. I was always told you never want to sit in the front at a comedy show because that was back in the day you would get picked on because really at big comedy clubs you only really see the front row. That's about it. A couple tables in front of you because it's
Yeah,
dark back there.
yeah,
So the people in the front, those are the people that are probably gonna get made fun of. Um, but now everybody wants to chime in on stuff, and some of these comedians, man, I love it. Like they'll eat you alive, and it's just like, I bet you that's the last time you'll speak up at a thing. Comics like obviously obviously you would everybody knows him for his crowd work. Matt Rife,
yeah,
he's great at it. He's quick, like he's so
yeah.
witty. And you hear people talking that comedians that are his friends as well saying they don't like the crowd work, and that's good for him to do it, but it's just not what we want. All comedians don't want crowd work.
Yeah.
Now let me do my set, and maybe at the end of the show we'll do some clowning around. But I have a set to do. Like I got a set that I'm ready to get going.
Exactly.
Um, so tell me about your first show. How was that, man? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, I was definitely nervous. Let's see. The first time I ever got on stage was in April, and then I got on a show in February to do 10 minutes at a showcase.
Wow, 10
And
minutes.
yeah, it
That's a
was
lot.
definitely yeah, it was probably definitely a leap. Like I had never even done like a 5 minute show. I've definitely done like 5 minutes on stage at an
Mhm.
open mic, but I think it was in front of like 70 people at a restaurant for like a little comedy showcase for part of the Good Karma Comedy Festival, and yeah, it was a good time. I still young, very green
Oh
very new in
yeah.
the game, and like I had to like I practiced my set over and over, but I knew that like I would still like wouldn't be able to remember it, so I had to write down little set lists and had to pull it out. But I definitely feel like it had a good set, got a bunch of laughs, and wasn't bad for my first time.
Did you practice it in front of friends or family beforehand?
I just did like open mics, not
Uh-huh.
really in front of friends or family, but yeah.
What did your friends or your family say when you were like, "Hey, I wanted to be a comedian"?
Ah, man. So I like grew up being like a shy, real quiet kid.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, when I would tell people, they're like, "What? You're trying to do comedy? Like you're always this shy, quiet kid?" Um, yeah, like even my mom said, I took her to a competition one night, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't believe you're like doing this. Like you wouldn't even order through the drive-through when you were a kid. Like so." Yeah,
That-
it's definitely a big step. It was a big change from what people knew about me and assumed, I guess.
well, I mean, new experience. You're you get it's what's the word I'm looking for? You're opening yourself up to more people, I guess you say. You're trying to get that talking because I mean, I'm sure you didn't expect yourself to be on stage talking in front of anybody your whole life at all in your life.
Yeah.
You know, um, so what was your first joke that you wrote?
Oh man. Um, I feel like it was something about like Facebook, like something about being on Facebook. But I know that the first time I did an open mic, I just went up with like all my dirtiest jokes. I was like talking about it was like the time when Elon Musk was first launching his spaceships or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And I was just making fun of them, like saying they look like a big dick or whatever. And they were just all my dirtiest jokes. I went out there and I live in like a small rural community, so it's all a bunch of older people.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an experience doing that. I was laughing on my way home from my first open mic night. Like, I can't believe I just said that in front of like people's grandfathers.
But you think about those grandparents, the comedy that they were raised up on, because when they were kids, they had some raunchy comedy back in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they and 80s. There's some. comics back then. They look we get like Red Fox, you know, and
yeah, prior, like it might have
yeah,
been. I think it was probably definitely refreshing to some, and like seeing it come out of a kid maybe
yeah.
like surprised them, but a lot the other half was completely shocked, like in all probably didn't want me back there.
I think it still shocks. It's still like to us when it is older people, even though we know what they've been through in their life. It's just that you're always taught respect your elders and da 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 da. But there's some of them old people, man, are the dirtiest ones.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, but so you were talking about Kill Tony earlier,
Yeah.
and you said you did 10 minutes. When I watched them do a minute, I'm like, well, that's a long time to me. A minute, you don't realize how long a minute is. And when you're up there, I'm sure that minute feels like 10 minutes, because especially for your first time in front of people. Now, if you were to go, and would you try to go out for Kill Tony if you were there?
Oh yeah, actually, I'm going. I've got a trip planned to Austin in February, so I'm trying it. I'm gonna stay there for like a week and a half, sign up twice, and try my luck, do as many open mics as I can, try and hop on a show, and
yeah,
trying
and
it.
you can network so well out there because I see how many people connect with each other just by listening to them talk, and then because I follow damn near everybody that's on that show, because I was like, all right, I'm gonna start following these people because they're funny,
Yeah.
But you like you said, try to get on as many open mics because there's an open mic every night of the week there, and
Yeah.
just don't remember when you're doing your comedy on Kill Tony, don't look at Tony because he'll call you out on that shit. I can't.
Yeah.
You deliver a joke and then you kept looking at me like you wanted me to laugh. Like, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a weird experience having all those people on stage with you. I could imagine that.
Well, and you're not going to know who the panel's going to be besides him and Red Band. So
Yeah.
it could be like, you might have Adam Ray up there for the 75th time this month. It's like, which would be cool. If I was up there, I'd be cool to see Adam Ray next to me because I like that dude. But regardless if you do well or you shit the bed up there, you get Tony to talk trash to you. So that's a fucking, I would take that as a win-win,
Yeah, that and the exposure too. It's
Oh
just,
yeah. Whether you blew it or not, people are gonna follow you,
yeah.
But so in your area, do you have like a crew of people that you work with, or are you physically solo?
I have one guy. There's actually one other comedian in like the town, I guess, where I'm claiming the closest town with like a hospital, I guess. We we ride around, do some open mics together. His name's The Mess. Shout out to him. Yeah, he goes by The Mess. We do it. We ride around, hit a couple of mics up. Like we'll go out like once a week to this one in Delaware called Cool J's, and it's a pretty cool mic. It's like a more like a class almost because we kind of sit around the room, give each other feedback, and they do shows every other Saturday. So,
is he going to be going to Texas with you?
I don't know. He said he might drive out there, but I'm racking up miles on my car, so I'm flying out there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because sometimes you got to drive everywhere, and sometimes for open mic you don't get paid. It's just you just go, right?
Yeah, you just go get your stage time.
But it's no different. Like that introduction there on my podcast here was my band.
Uh-huh.
So I get it, man. You'll play, you'll drive, 3, 4, 5 hours, play in front of 25 people and don't get paid nothing, but it's not about that. It's about getting exposure, getting yourself out there and doing what you love, and hanging out with people and meeting new people,
Yeah, I can usually swindle like a free soda, or like the best is if like you get a chicken wing, get some plate of chicken wings or a plate of fries that somebody messed up on or something.
Not a chicken wing, man. No, yeah. So now it's as you've done it, you said about 7, 8 times. Are you nervous anymore?
There's always a little bit of nerves going up. I always like to say, like, if I'm not nervous, I feel like that's when I bomb. That's when I don't do good for some reason.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few different comedians. I think like Whitney Cummings, and I think even Bert Kreischer said the same thing. Like before every show, they're nervous. It's like, but I mean, you got to be. I think every show I played, before I played, I was nervous because,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to fail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want to give it your all. But like you said, I think you should be nervous. But then once you get up there, once you're out there, it's done. It's over with. Those,
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
know.
feel like you need a little bit of like adrenaline or something going through your system to like make you be good. I feel like too.
Do you have a do you drink at all?
A little bit here and there. I recently did a little like 6 month no alcohol deal.
Uh,
And then yeah, um, yeah. Starting out, I would definitely get a beer or two at an open mic, and then some of them would even have like drink tickets. Like, oh, you get a discount on a beer, or you get one free beer, and yeah, I just felt like I heard some advice that like doing your open mics is like your job interview for comedy.
oh yeah.
So if you're, drinking on the job and you see like somebody like a promoter or a booker at a show, and they see you like getting hammered before your set, they might not want to book you. And
Yeah.
I found like also too drinking like it'll throw you off your game just a little bit. Sometimes it'll make you feel better, ease the nerves a little bit or whatever. But I feel like just doing that little 6 month stretch of sobriety like taught me like, hey, I can do this sober too and still do just as good.
Yeah, I'm going on it would in March or in May it'll be 2 years for me from not drinking.
Nice. Congratulations.
And I wish I would have played sober because I never played a sober show. And
Hmm.
some were pretty bad, but I look back, I'm like, man, I wonder what it would have been like to have played sober. 'Cause I'll never know that feeling because my band and my band that I was in, we didn't break up, but we were like, I guess you say we're on a hiatus but we'll
Yeah.
never get back together. But
Okay.
it's like, but damn, it's like, man, I wish if I could have had one sober show, what it would have been like.
It's
Um,
kind of more rewarding, I guess, because you're like, oh, I did it sober. I can do it without drinking.
hmm and and like when I do this podcast, obviously I don't drink anymore, so I don't drink when I do it, and that would I don't think I could do it. I would, like you said, it would throw you off.
Yeah.
But that's cool though, man. So when you what do you base your material? You said earlier, your first stuff you were talking about like Elon Musk and stuff. So do you try to stay with like what's going on with pop culture, kind of like what from growing up and stuff? Like, how do you get your material?
Yeah, it's mostly like observational stuff, stuff that I notice. I try to stay away from like the topical stuff that's in the news because it comes and goes. So it's only relevant for so long. So I feel like
Yeah,
I'd rather just spend the time writing jokes that everybody can relate to um, but every once in a while, you get a good joke that's topical. It's too easy to not throw it out there.
I feel like this whole year has so many good jokes. It's like, geez, Louise, man. I watched. I just watched on Netflix yesterday the end of the Torch in 2024 on Netflix. It was like the
Yeah.
roast,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, some of the stuff they were talking about, and then at the end they started listing off all this stuff, and I was like, holy shit. There's a lot of things that happened last year that are
Yeah,
just that are comical.
for sure.
Have you ever did a bit or have you ever had a bit that you were going to do and then the comic before you did something similar?
Yeah, that happens from time to time, Um, you
Would you
know.
still deliver it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
Because
I
it's
would do because it's a different. You're saying it and compared to them saying it in a different way. Yeah.
yeah, you can have like the same premise, but it can be a totally different joke. You can take it a totally different way.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does. Like might not be in the same night, rarely happens in the same night. But it does happen, yeah.
Um, is there you're still new in the game, but is there a thing where you see younger up and coming comics stealing material from other comics? Is like, you know, that they use, like say they'll hear something because I hear that from big name comics where they say they steal each other's material and then they get all blah blah blah. But do
Mhm.
you ever see or comics that that do that or nah?
Um, Not so much stealing material so much. I've seen a lot of like premises taken, and then that's totally fair game, but
Yeah.
like it's still sometimes it feels like a little bit. There's like a little stench on it. It's like I don't know. I did the same joke last week, or that's kind of similar to riding on the same tail end, but it winds up being a different joke. Like if you say it out loud, you're like, all right, I guess it's different. But no, not so much that. I have seen like the podcast stuff. Like dudes will watch a podcast that day, and I'm like, oh, they said something about like they touched on that subject today on their podcast,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
I know exactly what you mean, because it's like I have a list of shit that I want to talk about, because I have a couple other podcasts I do as well.
uh-huh.
And one is just me and my buddy, where we just nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, you know? And so
Hmm.
I'll be listening to like Bad Friends, and they'll start talking about something. I'm like, damn it, I want to talk about that now, but I can't do it because it just did it, you know? Not
Yeah,
that we have that, not that we have anyone really following us. It's just, it's in my head that I don't want to do that. But
yeah,
I will write it down, and then down like months down the road, I'll have it on a list. Like, oh, now I can talk about this. But it's like that, because you hear things that you forget about, and then you are like, oh shit, you know? Um, do you like write your jokes down, or is it all in your head, or?
yeah. I write them all out. I had a good writing session today. Had like 7 cups of coffee and just started writing.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, I have heard like I've gotten it a couple times. Like they're like, don't write your jokes out. Just kind of have the idea or the joke in your head. But I really can't do that. I've done it with a couple of or a few jokes, like a newer joke here and there. But sometimes I feel like I just gotta write it out for it to be perfect, or not perfect, but to make it funny at least. Sometimes
Would
I'll have a thought that's like I find funny in the moment to myself in my head, and then I'm just like, all right, now I need to make it funny for other people too. So.
Yeah, sometimes when you get those ideas, you have to write them down real quick, because you're gonna forget them. You know, I'll be laying in bed, and I'll have an idea for something, and I'll be like, oh, I'll remember it, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, shit, what was it? But would you ever want to be like a sketch writer?
Yeah, I definitely consider myself a writer more so than a comic. I thought of myself as a good writer before I thought of myself as a stand-up comedian. Um, so that was like a skill that I knew that I had, and I knew that I could like develop into like comedy. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of that was a big push for me to like start it. I thought that I was a good writer, so I thought that I could write jokes. At least.
Talk about writing and stuff. How were you? Were you a good student in school and stuff when that comes to like that kind of stuff? Were you a good writer there too in school?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like I was like in the like better English classes or whatever. And then I did like the senior essay, and then somebody had asked the teacher like who had the best essay, and she was like John Moore did. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Hell yeah.
Um, I was like always got like invited to like the STEM classes or the advanced
Gotcha.
placement, but I never wanted to apply myself or push myself that hard. So.
Gotcha. Now, yeah, I forgot you were saying you were the quiet guy and stuff. Did
Mhm.
so you just basically in high school you just stayed to yourself and whatnot. You had your, I mean, I'm sure you had your friends and whatnot, but you
Yeah.
weren't like a troublemaker or a class clown.
No, I say this all the time. Like wasn't the class clown, but I was probably the writer for the class clown. You know what I mean? Like I was always the kid who said it first, and then the louder, more boisterous kid would say it after me and get the laugh. So
Oh,
you ever had that happen? Or
yep, yep.
yeah, it's like you say it first, and then it's like, yo, come on, I just said that, but you just said it louder. So,
um,
but yeah,
yeah,
growing up, it was kind of like that. I wasn't like a troublemaker that much per se. I always, stayed low, laid low. If I did get in any trouble, it wasn't that
yeah.
bad or anything. So, uh, yeah,
What were
but
what were some of your earliest jobs in your life, like as a teenager?
oh man, I started working when I was like 15, like the
Okay.
legal age you can work in Maryland. So my first job was working at like the seed companies where it was like Monsanto. So I would basically make corn have sex.
Okay.
Yeah, making the seeds for that, and then like fooling around doing little tests for soybeans, and then what I do after that, I work
At
like on a golf course.
at 15, you were doing that.
Yeah, man, in the summer sun,
Oh shit.
little summer job.
Yeah. What did you do at the golf course?
Just cut the grass and stuff.
Oh,
That was mainly my career from there, just landscaping and cutting grass and stuff.
you like being outside?
I do like being outside. I feel like that helps with creativity a lot too.
Oh
Just
yeah.
outside.
When you're out there, what are you listening to music or are you listening to comedy?
Definitely listening to podcasts. I try to listen to a book a month, so
Okay.
I'll throw on a book for like a week or two and try and break it up with a podcast and then listen to music for like an hour or two. You know.
It's funny because you say listening to the books, and I just started listening to audiobooks every once in a while,
Yeah.
and I can't listen to them if it's not the person reading it. That like if I read like a documentary or a biography, I said if I read a documentary, if I read a biography, it has to be that person reading it to
Mhm.
me because I can't listen to somebody else doing it, and and sometimes if you listen to those biographies, they'll tell you more story. They'll read the story and then they'll branch off about something else, and then they'll go back into the story again. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
But what kind of music do you listen to?
It's all over the place, man. I
Good
listen to
answer.
everything except like classical music. Listen to like reggae music if I want to just relax. I listen to a lot of classic rock.
Cool, cool.
Before like that's my go-to like as I'm driving to a show or open mic, and then I listen to like EDM music too.
Nice, nice.
I listen to that when I'm writing actually, and it just kind of like gets me in a weird focus zone.
Like what kind of EDM do you listen to?
Like today, I was listening to like John Summit. He had like a new list out for New Year's.
Okay.
Ray Volp, uh, Skrillex, those kind of guys.
Yep. Last night in here in Clarksville, they had a dubstep night at one of the local places here, and it was a good turnout. A lot of the it's all local DJs here in town. And they're all pretty good, you know. I used to run with that scene for a little bit. I would do it every once in a while. I didn't really so much play dubstep or house or trance or anything like that. I do like I DJ with like hip hop and stuff, but then I would throw in some of that with it, you know what I'm saying, to kind of mix
Okay.
it up.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
I did that for a little bit, make a couple extra dollars on the weekends,
There you go. That's always fun.
Uh-huh. Um so yeah, and if you listen to classical, I always feel like you're gonna be like Dexter or something, sitting there in the fucking
Yeah.
um but yeah, man. So comedy. So you don't write your stuff down, which I mean, you write your stuff down, which is cool. I would say I would do the same thing if I did. But there ideas that you have written down, maybe for like say a sketch comedy stuff? You got anything written like that, or any ideas,
Ah, man.
or how do you like determine like, all right, I want to tell this other joke, but this maybe I can use it for something different.
Yeah. I don't think I really have any sketches per
Hmm.
se. I have like some movie like ideas for movies, ideas for TV shows. Um, Not too much for sketches, but like today, like I realized like I had like a bunch of ideas or funny stories, like actual events that happened in my life that would be good like on camera, acted out, maybe possibly as like a sketch or like fit it into a TV series somehow.
What about like animated?
Animated, that's always fun too. I always like a good like Family Guy or American Dad.
I think you could be a good animated character. You would look like a good animated character that could be on Family Guy.
That'd be
Um,
cool.
that's one of my that's my go-to show. Family Guy. That is my go-to show.
Oh
They
yeah,
they got canceled, and guess what? They got brought back, and they've been going strong ever since. And I can't believe that they still are going strong because some of the stuff I'm like, man, they can say whatever he wants, he could say. Um,
it is wild. Yeah,
yeah, and and then the Simpsons. I mean, the Simpsons been around hell since I think like '88 or something. They've been going.
yeah.
They're the longest running or animated series ever.
Yeah,
Um,
The Simpsons is good. I feel like it also is kind of funnier animated too somehow.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, I like some good animation. I always think about like I have like for my other podcast with my buddy, our intro, I was like, I could see us being like animated, you know, because he's tall, I'm short. He has a dog, he has a small dog, and he has a huge ass dog. And I was like, well, you can be petting your small dog, but then I could be on the back of the other dog riding it, like, you know. But
Yeah, you
yeah,
can get away with like stuff that you can't get away with in real life, like in animation. Like you can do that. You can ride on your big ass dog, or
yep.
um,
Because you have four fingers and that's it, because you don't have the fifth one. That's, I think that's what it is. Like you're not proportioned like a person or something. I could have this all wrong, but that's what the internet's there. Fact check me. I don't care. But anyway, but because you know, you think about it, all animated people they don't have five fingers.
yeah, sometimes it's three. They're
Yeah.
like, and
Minnie and Mickey only have two. They got the big mitt thing, you know, or something.
yeah, that's true. That is true. But yeah, you do see that a lot with podcasts. Just like guys who animate will just do it for, I guess, for free. Honestly, they're like, yeah, we'll make the little characters. Like I've seen like the Theo Vaughns.
Man, they're like 35-minute clips, and I'm like, dude, hook me up with your friend, you know?
Right. There's a lot that goes into animation too. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
draw out every little scene, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can't draw. Can you draw?
No.
I make a stick person look bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what's what when you were like, let's take it back to say, I'm just gonna pull out I'm gonna pull out a grade because I don't know what year it was. So let's say your fourth grade year. Okay.
Okay.
Fourth grade you. What were you like? What was one of your favorite movies at that time?
Oh man, it probably had to been like an Adam Sandler movie. Uh, I feel like I grew up watching Joe Dirt religiously.
Yeah, it's a classic, man.
Joe Dirt, man, I gotta put that on once a year. Like Billy Madison.
Anything, anything Sandler, man, is.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if this was around the fourth. It was around that time, but like one of those Larry the Cable Guy movies. Like I think it was called Delta Force or something.
Oh yeah. Was it Delta Farce or Delta
Delta
Force?
Farce, yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
That was good. That was good.
And
Yeah.
then Step Brothers came out.
Oh, that changed the game, man. I don't think
Yeah.
you can't run into one person. Well, you probably can, but you know what I mean. You can't run into somebody that does not know a quote from that movie. You know?
No, not at all.
And most of them is the drum set one. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
I think we're best friends now. But
Right.
I loved it. That was a great movie. Every time it's on a streaming service, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch it till it goes away. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said, you know, Larry the Cable Guy. He was him and Jeff Foxworthy. They had their time for a long time. You know, actually they had their career. Their career was big before they got big. You know, because they were really popular back in like the 80s and 90s, and then they got their own TV shows, and then the blue collar was it blue collar comedy? What was it called?
I think it was Blue Collar Comedy or something.
Yeah, and then they did that tour and that movie, and then Kings of Comedy came out after that, and then Kings of Comedy was a classic in my day, man. Whew, I remember I saw that at the movie theater actually.
Oh dang.
That's when comedy shows would go to the movie theaters. Like I saw Martin Lawrence, You So Crazy at the movie theater. Martin Lawrence live at the movie theater, there's probably so many others out there too. You like Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah. I haven't really gotten into his stand-up, but
yeah, check out his stand-ups, man. His stand-ups, his early stuff is great. Early Chris Rock stuff is classic. I remember one of the jokes Chris Rock always said. He goes, I would never hit a woman, but I'll shake the shit out of one. And I was like, yeah, I don't know I wonder if they can still say that today. I don't know. What's one of your favorite comedy stand-up shows?
Like a special or
yeah.
Dang. Probably one of Mark Norman's. Can't think of the title right now, but
I like his voice.
Yeah.
His voice is just so unique, He's a funny guy. I listen to his podcast every once in a while too.
Daniel Simonson, that guy's got a hilarious accent voice. He's like he's from Norwegian.
Okay, I'll check him out.
So yeah, it sounds like a robot. Like all his jokes are, and they're like all one-liners too. So
Okay.
it just sets them all off.
What's the guy? I can't think of his name right now. He's from Kill Tony. The assassin guy.
Ari Maddie.
Dude, that dude is
Yeah.
he is a beast, dude. I didn't realize this. He was in because I live 45 minutes outside of Nashville.
Okay.
He was in Nashville the weekend of Thanksgiving, and I didn't find out till like the day before, and it was already sold out. I'm like, damn it. Yeah. I'm like, because I would love to see him. He's hilarious. I was supposed to go see Whitney Cummings and Steve-O back in October, and I didn't get to go, but that would have been good to go too.
That's a pretty solid lineup.
Yeah.
I saw Theo Vaughn's special before it came out. He was like in Wilmington, Delaware, and I went up and did the show before I started doing comedy, like probably a year or two before. And then I recently just saw Ari Shafir's special. I was at the taping in DC, and that's about to come out soon in January, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, look out for that one because it was a good special.
He's a character. I like him though, man. God, he's my buddy. You said you know that comes out in January. A buddy of mine who lives in Denver. He went and he was in the taping for the David Spade's new stand-up that comes out in February. It's going to be on it's going to be on Prime. So,
Okay.
But yeah, it was shot in Denver. So my buddy was like, "Yeah, we got like $5 tickets, and we just were able to go." But of course, yeah, but they locked up your phones and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I think that's great for specials and stuff. I think it's kind of great, period, honestly. But it is what it is. But yeah, I've never gotten to be on a special or be at a special, or that'd be kind of cool to go do though, man.
It is cool. Like I'm looking forward to see it come out and like how they edited it, or you know. But you were saying Denver. I actually threw on a comedy special from a guy from Denver. He's been on Kill Tony a couple times. Sam Talent.
Oh yeah, great guy. I like him.
He's hilarious, man. He had a special out. I saw it was a year ago it came out, but it's called The Toad's Morale, and it was just hilarious all the way through.
Yeah, people that are on Kill Tony are always like, "Yeah, I did a show with you in Denver." And then he was like, he's like, I don't remember you. You're like, I don't know you. People that come to my shows or how many people do my shows, but
yeah, those dudes travel around, man.
Yeah, and Denver, man, Denver, not Denver. It's somewhere in Colorado that has a good. I think it's where he's from actually. That has a big comedy scene. Because I think he's from outside of Denver. But yeah, he's a clown, man. I like him too. I went and saw Ralphie May live once. That was cool.
Oh, he was great, man. That would be one to see live. Yeah.
Yeah, it was shot. It was just a show he did, and of course, I was a heckler. The guy, one of the opening acts, and I got it. The guy was just not bombing. He wasn't getting a laugh. He was bombing. So of course, me being an asshole, because he was wearing a white shirt, black slacks, had like a vest, like a black vest. So he looked like an usher or a car, the guy that takes your car, a valet, right?
Yeah.
So it got quiet, and I was like, go back to parking cars. And he was just like, he didn't say nothing. He was just like, and the crowd laughed, and then he kept going, and I was like, man, I'm that asshole that everybody talks about at a comedy show. But hey, there got to be one of us out there. I wouldn't do it now because now even then I had respect, but now it's like I respect the game, man. It's a hard thing to do, man. That could have been his first show. That could have been his first thing that night. I don't know this.
Yeah.
But they say Nashville though, man. You should try that. Nashville, they say, is like the new Austin. Like they said, Nashville's comedy scene is blowing up. Comedy Fest every April is huge. It's huge, man. Last year, in Clarksville here, we just got a new arena, and Bert headlined it, sold it out, and then the next night, Tom was in Nashville, his wife was in Nashville, they all did stuff in there, and then Kid Rock has a comedy fest that he does in part of Comedy Fest at the Ryman. There's every comedian you can think of is in Nashville that week. you know?
That sounds
Um,
cool. Yeah, because
yeah.
I always knew like there was kind of like a scene going on in Nashville, but I think before like Austin.
Hmm.
So like it's definitely probably has its own scene, own kind of style too. So
Yeah. I could have heard this wrong, but I think before Austin, I think they were thinking Nashville was going to be like Austin is now, you know?
mm,
But Nashville's like the Zanies in Nashville, man, is like I hear so many. I've never been. I need to go, but I always hear some good stories there. And you don't know who's going to show up from the country world that's going to pop in one day, you know, one time, you know.
yeah.
I think 2 weeks ago, well, I'm taking that back. It was probably earlier this month, but it was they did a roast for Jelly Roll at Zanies.
Oh, that's pretty
And
cool.
yeah, you had like Mark Norman, you had Adam Ray, Tony Hinchcliffe, all them. They were all there roasting Jelly Roll. Now, are we ever going to see it? Probably not, because I think it was just a birthday thing for that his wife put together for him. So
Yeah.
that just shows either how much they love him or like him, or how much they got paid. Because the people that he had at that show, he had all the heavy hitters there, man. Um, but yeah, excuse me. Um, do you? How would you deal with the heckler?
Man, I'll try and roast them a little bit, maybe here and there. I rarely get it. I try to like dismiss it and just go back into my material. But if I do, it's something like quick and it's not even that funny to me. But it'll like make the audience laugh just because it's like in the moment in
Yeah,
the room. Like I'll just be like, "Oh, okay, that's right," and whatever you say, or something like that.
yeah. I'd probably have to dig into him for a second, or I would just probably ignore him, and then they would just be like, he didn't give me no time. Like what the? But
Crowd
um,
work is definitely not like my stronger suit, but it happens sometimes.
I mean, are you pretty witty when it comes to like coming back with joke, like one liners?
Somewhat. I always have that moment like after the show. It's like, damn, I could have said this.
Yep, yep. Oh,
But
trust me, I do that with every podcast. I'm like, damn, I could have asked this question.
yeah.
But it's all right. There's more time out there, and it can happen again. Um,
Yeah.
well, so are you in like comedy mode 24/7? Like when you're with your friends, your family, are you in that comedy mode, or do you turn it off?
Um, I don't wouldn't say that I turn it off ever. It's more so I can turn it on when I want to get into a sort of zone. Like I'll be listening to a podcast or listening to music. I'll zone out and kind of just kind of have like a flow state going or whatever, and something funny will come out of it. But yeah, I can, when I'm hanging around my family, I'm actually like, I'm the same way I was in school. Like I'm quiet and reserved, not like yelling at things out that I think are funny because probably if I did say the things I thought were funny, it'd probably just ruin the moment, ruin Christmas dinner. You know, try to get kicked out and like shunned from my family.
um, what would you say a good quality to be a good comedian would be?
Uh,
And I'm
Probably.
not gonna lie, I stole that question off the internet about 2 hours ago.
No worries. That's a good question, though. It's a good
Yeah,
question to ask. I would say being a writer because there is a difference between if you think you're funny and you're just being funny for your friends. It's totally different than being funny on stage in front of an audience.
yeah, because your friends all day will be like, "Oh, you're funny, you're funny, you're funny. You should go do stand up." Me and you being funny together doesn't mean that I'm going to be funny with 30 people in a crowd. That
Yeah.
it might just be crickets out there the whole time. Like
Right.
at the time, like if like for instance, for yourself, like did you know you're going to be funny, or did you were just like you just wanted to try it?
I definitely always was like I was told like I was funny, as a kid or whatever. And then I think maybe it was always in the back of my mind like I like stand up. Maybe I should try it one day. But never really gave it too much of a thought.
Uh, do you think nowadays with comedy as popular and it is, it's going to be it's harder to cut it unlike it was like say 20 years ago when comedy wasn't as popular. I mean, it was popular, but you know what I'm saying. There's so many comedians out there nowadays. Do you think it's harder now to make it?
Um, my guts is like my first answer is saying no, just because, and it's not like I was around like during that time either. But I would definitely say it was harder back then than it is now, just because of social media and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you can blow yourself up off of that, and there's a lot of comedians who are just famous from like doing sketches on like their TikToks, doing on their reels on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I can be funny, and then it's that same thing where you can be funny for like a sketch or in front of your friends, but it might not translate on stage. You find a lot of that now, but a lot of guys are still funny. That would be my one thing, to go back to your question earlier, is if you think that you're funny like in front of your friends, you got to have the ability to know what makes it funny and then
Mm-hmm.
kind of restructure it, rewrite it into like an actual joke.
Have you told a joke and it didn't go off well, but then you reworked it later and it came off better?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'm always going back on my old stuff and like coming up with more tags or taking it in a different direction. And that one mic that we do at Cool J's is like we all sit around after each other's sets and give each other feedback, like, oh, you should have taken it this direction, should have gone this way, or we'll just sit around a room and like come up with tags or punchlines for your joke. And
It it in comedy too. It also has to do a lot with like the delivery. Like you can
yeah,
say something, and it might not have came off as well as if you would have said this part of its joke and pause for 10 seconds, and that might have came off better than it did if you just went straight forward. That's the biggest part about comedy. I've noticed it's all about delivery, how you say everything. It's just like wow, it's a hard world
yeah,
to be in.
yeah, timing, delivery, like cadence, and that's like the
Hmm.
biggest thing that I get for like my feedback is like, yeah, just like change your voice up a little bit, have a little bit of inflection because I'm kind of like monotone, like how I'm just talking to you
Yeah,
right now, or like kind of like Mitch Hedbergy kind of.
yeah.
So it's you get that, and it's just something that you gotta work on.
Yeah, it's kind of like, same thing with like a guitar player. It's like it's the same thing. There's similarities, or drummers. Like if a drummer doesn't hit it as hard, a cymbal as hard, or a snare drum as hard, and then and it doesn't give as much oomph as it could if they would have hit it harder or hit it harder. This is kind of
Mhm.
like the deliverance, I guess you'd say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, a little bit of inflection, a little change here and there. Like,
mhm.
yeah, I couldn't imagine playing an instrument
uh,
but yeah, you can see it. Like just a little bit of change in the way you flick your wrist, or like if you're
mhm.
on stage telling jokes, the way you do the action, or
Yeah.
if you even do it at all.
Um, I notice a lot of comedy clubs these days. Obviously comedy clubs supposed to be dark and stuff. I see a lot of stuff online nowadays that where like people are playing like, and it's not a problem with it, but like playing like say a sandwich shop where it's like bright as day, and but I mean, is that kind of like the restaurant you were playing like that? Is that how that went? Like it was like
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
hey,
it was.
you want some more cheese on your pasta, and then you're sitting there telling a joke.
Yeah, it's definitely like that, man. It's you starting out. You do comedy in some weird, crazy places.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's lit up. There was no stage. There, I don't even think that there was like a stool there. There was a mic stand and like one speaker. So. But the thing was, is like, yeah, you come in at 6 o'clock, you buy your dinner, and you sit and eat while comics are telling jokes. So people are like stuffing their faces while you're trying to tell a joke, and they're not really fully invested in you. They're invested in their like chicken parm or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, unless you see somebody over there choking on something, you're hoping it was a funny joke that they just, or they're not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
choking.
kind of dangerous. Got to sign a waiver.
um, what's your McDonald's order?
My McDonald's order.
Yeah.
Just a 20-piece McNugget, really.
All right. All
I
right.
did try the chicken Big Mac the other day. That was all right. That was pretty good. It
Yeah.
used to be a McChicken when that was around, but you can still get that, right? The McChicken.
I don't know. That was good though. I like the McChicken. I
But
haven't
now it's
had.
like the Southern style. It used to be called Southern style chicken, but it's
Yeah.
like a little bit
It's
more fancier. But
Do you guys have Chick-fil-A up there?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love me some Chick-fil-A. Now I could tear up a Chick-fil-A like 40 piece because them nuggets are just something about them nuggets. You're just like,
Uh,
but no, that McDonald's, I think I'd back with you on that on a 20 piece McNugget. What's your
20
stop?
piece sauce,
Yeah,
hot mustard, and barbecue.
yeah. I tried some. I always try their special sauces when they come out, and
Yeah.
this the sriracha one was pretty good. But for
Okay.
me, for me, barbecue or the buffalo.
Buffalo's always
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I always do like to try the new little
Oh
special
yeah.
sauce they got going on every once in a while. It's good.
I want to go to. I want to try Taco Bell has chicken nuggets now,
Really?
and yeah, and they're breaded. I think they're breaded in tortillas, like the
Huh.
crushed up tortilla chips, and they're breaded in them, and then they're, I don't know. And they got some wild sauces too. I
Yeah.
want to check them out. It's crazy when Taco Bell are selling chicken nuggets and chicken wings. I think a couple of years ago they were selling chicken wings.
They're always doing something crazy. A
Yeah.
Chupa Lupa or something, maybe. Always doing something.
Yeah. You eat a lot of fast food when you're on the when you're playing when you're doing your gigs.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, because I don't have, when I come home from work, it's like I'll have time to do one or two things, let the dog out, and then I'm like trying to take a nap before I head out, and I'm up all night. Um,
Yeah,
and
I know
then
what you
just
mean.
there's like Popeyes or Burger King on the way home, hitting those up.
Hey,
McDonald's.
Burger King's original chicken sandwich. That's the best chicken sandwich in the world. Sorry if anybody, sorry, not sorry, but that thing is phenomenal. I've been eating that same chicken sandwich since I was probably 13 years old, if not younger, and it has not changed the taste. It's the same day, and it hasn't gotten any smaller. It's still the same
Okay.
size. Because sometimes you be getting these items over the years, they get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Kind of like people are complaining about Little Debbie's Christmas trees. They used to be big and now they're small.
Huh.
Hey, at least you're getting the Christmas trees, okay? They're good. Not everybody can get them. My sister loves them, and she's stationed in Korea, and she can't get them out there. Okay, so I get
Right.
to make fun of her. So,
You gotta be grateful. I'll do the chicken fries at Burger King,
oh
man.
yeah, those are good. Those are good.
Those, and then like they got this deal going on now, $5 for like two Whoppers.
Okay.
That's a lifesaver.
Now I have noticed the Whoppers have gotten the regular Whoppers are now like the size of a junior Whopper. It's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
come on, I get it. I don't. Me and my neighbor, we were trying to see if we can eat 50 chicken nuggets from McDonald's, a quarter pounder, a large fry, and a medium drink. Not that past Thanksgiving, the year before last. Nah, man, that went.
Each, or you're splitting it?
No, that was each of us.
Oh my
And I started getting the sweats. I was like, I
god.
can't do no more. I gotta take this shit home and eat it later. And I didn't tell him this, but I even tried this before to get myself ready for it a month beforehand in Denver with my buddy, and we tapped out, and the dogs ate the chicken nuggets. We were done. We tapped the hell out, dude. It's I've never gotten the meat sweats from McDonald's before, but
Oh
yeah,
man.
that definitely didn't help. And
I
I
feel like I
think,
get it every time. I feel like I have some kind of food poisoning from eating fast food all the time. It's like I just feel like I'm hungover the next day or something. It's
oh
like
yeah,
worse
yeah,
than a hangover.
it goes in you and out you real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it does taste so good going in though. It's like,
It
oh
is very
yeah.
good. Yep.
Um, Now my go-to if I'm going anywhere, like if you're going like if I'm going to Nashville for a concert or something, I just go to the gas station, pick me up a Slim Jim, a bag of chips, and two monsters, and I'm good to go. That's
There you
all
go.
I need. Um, you been any? And have you been into to any music concerts at all lately, or ever?
Man, I don't think I've really ever been to a music concert.
Really?
Well, no, I've been to a music concert, but not recently.
Yeah.
Um, I listen to like music at the open mics, like
Yeah.
just local people with a guitar,
Oh yeah.
just singing.
Hey, those are good people, man. And sometimes you'd be like, man, this person can be so good, but they're comfortable just doing this. Like
Yeah,
I know a few people that I'm like, man, these people can just be so big, but they're just happy doing what they're doing, which I get it. You do it just for like an outlet,
Yeah.
just getting out and do your thing. I know a few people like that. One of them is actually one of them I think can be big. He was actually my number one podcast this year, and he I think he can do it, man. His name's Cody Parson, and he has a band called Cody Parson and the Heavy Change, and the Heavy Change abbreviation is THC. So you can figure what kind of, but yeah, it's good music, man. It's like kind of like a like country. It's country, but it's but it has like kind of like I guess you call it alt country. I guess that's what they call it nowadays. But it's good shit, man. He has a stage presence, the look, everything, the sound. He's I think he can do it, man. And then I just interviewed this guy a couple weeks ago. His name is Cole Greenwald, and he is a songwriter in Nashville. Kind of like you were saying, you like you could like you consider yourself like a writer as well. Well, he considers himself a songwriter, but he also performs the music as well. And I was going to ask you this with the comedy world. You said you have you guys sit around and stuff. Do you guys have like writing groups where you help each other write better? Like,
Um, yeah, I'm sure it happens. I'd sit around with a guy that mess and write if we have like a show coming up, or I definitely bounce jokes off of him. I'm like, oh, I just came up with this. I'll send a quick text to him, and then he'll be like, oh, you might just have to switch the order around. You might have to do something. But I have been thinking like I want to start a writing group, like,
yeah,
because there is a songwriters group, like a local songwriters group around here, but nothing like for comedy. It would be nice to like meet up on a Sunday and just sit and write and just.
yeah, and and then also too, because I mean, it's not like you got. It's like your style and their style are all different styles, and y'all help each other because you might be able to tell them how to like we can write this joke for you and then deliver it like this because that's how your style is, and they can help you with it, and that's kind of and then that's how honestly kind of too. That's how you get those new cliques of comedian groups,
Yeah, yeah.
like the Kids in the Hall guys, all those dudes who are running with each other. I forgot what comedy crew they came from.
It
But
does help if your like styles are sort of similar. Because I will find like if sometimes bouncing ideas off other guys, it's like they'll give me another line or another tag or punchline or something. I'm like, yeah, that's like your joke. I don't know if I can say it because I can hear them saying it and it would sound better coming from them. And it's like I wouldn't say that, or I might say it a different way.
yeah, yeah, and I guess it's kind of the same thing too with like singing lyrics. It's like
Hmm.
like somebody like, oh, I'll try it this way, and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that, or it's kind of help each other out. I've tried my dabble at singing too, and I can't do it. I could scream like nobody's business. I can't sing.
Yeah, does seem kind of wild. A songwriter like trying to get the idea of what they have out into like the other person's head. That is
Yeah,
kind of wild and amazing to me. I know that it happens a lot in country music. There's a lot of like songwriters in country music, and then
correct. But see, like that you said that I was asking the dude that I was talking to, and I was like, so how does that play out with money? Because when you write a song, he goes, well, everybody gets paid. I said everybody. He goes, yeah. Say there's 10 people in the room, and
mhm.
this and we get this song, and it goes platinum or whatever.
Yeah,
There could have been one person in that room that changed one word, and they get
yeah,
paid the same amount as everybody else. And I was like,
yeah,
damn. He said, but now in LA, it doesn't work that way. There's like a percentage thing where they do like I think 50, it's like a 50-50 type thing or whatever. But in
mhm.
Nashville, everybody gets paid. Yeah, I guess Nashville's a fit. Everyone gets paid the same. And in LA, it's broke down into parts. So like, say you wrote more songs than I wrote, you would get like say 80%. I would get 20%.
Gotcha.
Which I think that would be fair.
Right.
But yeah, so he said he's never been in a writing circle bigger than like 6 or 7, but he said he's seen them. He's seen writing ones that are big, like 15 or so. I'm like, that's a lot of people writing one 3-minute song.
Yeah,
But like you were saying that writing a song and then having you do, like I write a song and you're supposed to sing it, and I'm like, that's not how I hear it, and then You know, I want you got to do it like that. And that's how they do it, I believe. You know, I never asked them that part, but yeah, but the country world's a different. It's crazy because country, rap, rock, it's all different worlds on how they do their music and their writing. You know,
Yeah.
because you figure in a rock world, you got like if you got 5 people in your band, that's 5 people writing music. You know, and country, I don't have to do nothing. I just had to play the songs, and you give me the lyrics, and if I can sing them for you, and I can sing them great, then I'm, look at what's his name, Chris Stapleton. You know, he was a songwriter before he became an artist,
Yep.
and but I think he was probably like, why can I, I can make this money too, and I'm just going to be writing the songs for myself. I ain't got to. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this on my own. Actually, I saw him. He opened up for Guns N' Roses.
What?
Back in I think 2017 or 2018, yeah, in Nashville, and he was like, "If you would have told 15-year-old me that I'd be up here opening up for Guns N' Roses, I would have told you were a lie." But then he's up there playing. That's the cool thing because it was Chris Stapleton, and then Guns N' Roses played, and then 2 years or 3 years later, Carrie Underwood opened up for Guns N' Roses in Nashville.
Huh.
So it's like that country opened up for rock, which that's cool. I like those kind of shows.
Yeah,
Um,
it's cool.
um, what's your favorite podcast to listen to, so I can see if I need to listen to some new ones.
I've been into this one with Harlan Williams and Howie Mandel. It's
The one where they call when the people call in.
Strangers Calls. Yeah,
So good, man.
I
That's
think I
so
gotta
good.
like tune into that every week when it comes out because that's one you gotta watch. That's one that I can't, you can't listen to it, unfortunately.
That's what I found out about Kill Tony when I first found out about Kill Tony about a year ago. You can't listen to Kill Tony. You have to watch it. And
Yeah,
I didn't realize that until I watched my first episode. I was like, you're not getting listened to anymore. But now I will listen to it the next day because if it was funny, like I got to listen to that
yeah,
shit again. But Harlan Williams, man, he's another one of those guys that just, man, he's probably one of my favorite comics like currently because
yeah,
he's so fast. Him and Howie Mandel, they're on the same wavelength. I think they're
yeah,
both
yeah,
they both got ADHD. They don't know what the hell's going on. They're both
yep,
the same age. They're both in their 60s,
yeah,
but they still got such. I mean, Harlan Williams, man, just as quick as he comes up with things too, or the way he goes off topic so fast that you'll say something and he'll say something different and then go off and
yeah,
he's just all over the place, man. And I like that. I don't know what kind of comedy that's called though, but
yeah. I don't know. It's definitely his own style. It reminds me of like being a kid, honestly.
oh yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's a 60-year-old man, a kid.
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you ever see the movie he was in, Half Baked?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. That was
think
hilarious.
I that wasn't his first movie. I think his first movie was what, Dumb and Dumber or something, when he played the cop.
Yeah,
And I forgot, he's told that story about the cop, and I think the cop was supposed to go to somebody else, and it wasn't supposed to go to him.
yeah.
But I don't remember who. But he played that part fine, and he was great at it. And he still knows that line because I think on one of the Harlan's Highways, he actually recited part of that thing because I think Jet Ski Jessie was on there, and that was like her favorite movie, and so he recited the police part to her. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. That Harlan Williams and Howie Mandel is pretty good. Howie's podcast is good too with his daughter.
I haven't watched that one. Trying to think. Like I pretty much just watch like all the mainstream ones. I don't really have.
Same.
I don't think I have one that's like under the radar. Um, there's like a local kind of podcast that like guys have been doing comedy and then they're starting a podcast thing that are like around me. One's called like the Working Man's Podcast. I'm trying to hop on it one day, but they literally like they just put a mic on in their van on the way to an open mic, and that's their podcast. They just
That's kind of cool. I thought about doing that in with one of my buddies. Just when we go to Nashville, it's like a 45-minute drive there and a 45-minute drive back. So I can,
yeah.
I thought about just doing that because one of the guys that I go to all my concerts with, I want to put him on. He wants to be on the podcast. He's a musician, and I'm like, we should just do it on the way to Nashville because we're listening to music. We're always talking about stuff, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I would have thought about this, not saying that I'm going to be fucking successful from doing this podcast, but it's fun to do. I jumped on the bandwagon way too late. I should have did it earlier. But
Hmm.
my buddy that I do my other podcast with called the Moron Brothers, and he actually was doing podcasting back in 2003,
What?
and it was called Art School Romance, and basically, or Art School, yeah, I think it was Art School. Anyway, and it was him and his three buddies. They would sit around, and then they would. I don't even think the podcasting part was out yet. I think it was just three or four of them sitting around recording episodes and then putting them up on Apple Music, and then you had to download them for free to listen to.
Okay.
And then because he got, he was a big Kevin Smith fan, and Kevin Smith was doing podcasting before Joe Rogan was doing podcasting.
Yeah.
So he was like, I want to do this too. And so he was doing it. But no, it's like I always have, me and my buddy would always talk on the phone, and we would just talk about shit. We're like, why don't we do a podcast and do this on a podcast? I'm like, yeah, for sure. So
I do hop on somebody else's podcast every once in a while. It's called Fire in the Hole. It's like a kind of like a stoner kind of show.
Okay.
I guess they hop on every day at 4:20. It's like a Facebook. I guess it's Facebook Live. It's not even like a podcast, but
okay.
I think they do the StreamYard thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always a good time. With the mess, he's one of the dudes who does that.
And MESS.
Yeah, the MESS, the mess.
I'll have to find him on the Instagram too, and then if he's on there.
Yeah, I think he's on Instagram. It might be a different name. I'll send it to you. But,
yeah, send it to me because maybe I'll talk with him too.
Yeah, his thing's called Fire in the Hole, I think though. Yeah.
All right, yeah, I got that. I got the Working Man's podcast and Fire in the Hole, and then I have a buddy of mine. His name is Chris Killian, and he's a comedian, and I've been trying to get him on, but he's obviously busy. He goes by CK Comedy on Instagram, and now he works for the comicbook.com, that website. So he's always at he's interviewing like The Rock and John Cena, and all these big time. He was just at the Moana thing. Like he's gotten pretty big, so he's not really doing the stand up much anymore. But he still works for comic book. But he's hilarious. I'll send you his stuff. But he also was a wrestler too. It's like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, do you like wrestling?
Yeah, I definitely grew up watching wrestling. I don't watch it anymore, but there is a lot of overlap between comedy and wrestling.
Oh yeah, because kind of wrestling is kind of like sketch comedy. Like it's like a sketch show, but really it is like a sketch show because not just comedy, but just everything because they're doing everything on the fly.
Yeah, that's true.
Backstage, they're like, all right, I guess tonight we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and so and so's going to come out, and all right, and because you figure a 45-minute match. You're not going to be talking about it for 45 minutes. You're going to be like, all right, da 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 da. I mean, they practice some of the moves, beforehand out there in the ring. But you figure a 2-hour show, you got all these wrestlers. You can't get everybody out there to be practicing everything. So I still watch wrestling. And actually, another plug, I have another podcast called the Wrestling Circle Jerks, which with me and my buddy who does the Moron Brothers one, and our buddy Jim. Where we sit and talk about wrestling. We do it once a week. We just do WWE. So we'll talk about like Raw. We'll talk about SmackDown, and then we'll pick a classic match and we'll talk about that, or we'll do it like a pay-per-view. And we'll either live stream the pay-per-view and talk about it while it's going on live streaming. I still watch wrestling. It's the man's soap opera.
It is, yeah. I could see myself putting it on every once in a while again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably have flashbacks, so I would enjoy it.
Yeah, hey, I'll tell you right now, the way that the wrestling's going right now, it's like it would be like you were 10 years ago watching it because it's the same kind of shit's going on with the same people. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, so John Cena is coming back this year, 2025. It's his final year, right? He's retiring this year. This is like his last run, and so they're making a big deal about it. But then The Rock is back as well. And then you got like CM Punk is back, and like all these people are back in WWE that were around 10 or 12 years ago, so it's kind of funny to see.
That's right. When I was growing up watching, I might have to tune in this year
Yeah.
then.
I'm not gonna lie, I watch it for the girls too, because they got some beautiful women on there. So
That's true.
um they got a lot of women. That the women's division in WWE is huge. I always, if you were gonna be a wrestler, what would your wrestling name be?
I don't know. Oh man, I always liked Jimmy Superfly Snuka's name. That
Yeah,
name, that's a perfect wrestling name.
yeah.
Um, Something along the lines of that, man. Like
I
Superfly, something.
Superfly John Moore. But see,
Yeah.
I think there is a wrestler called John Moore, actually. John Morrison, that's what his name is. And he comes
Okay.
out, he has long hair and he has a big old like big like long jacket on. It's all sparkly, and then when he comes out, it's all slow motion. It's like his hair's in the wind. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, I would just keep my name Russ Attitude. I wouldn't be a wrestler. I would probably want to be like a manager.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I the this kid I used to work with, because he asked me that question like years ago, and I've always asked people that question: if you're a wrestler, what would it be, and what would your finishing move be? But he said his name would be the dean of education, and his finishing move would be the oh man, oh no, I screwed that all up. But his finishing move would be the board of education, and he would come out
Okay.
and yeah, like a ruler, and he'd be like or something. I don't know, but yeah, I would just be I could be a manager. I would have to be I could be a manager. I think I could do that. Hell, that's kind of like a manager is kind of like a comedian. They gotta say
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And actually, what's his name? Dolph Ziggler. He goes. He was a big back in the day, and well, he still is. But he's a comedian. And sometimes he'll go to open mic nights after wrestling's over with. He'll do like open mic set and stuff.
Huh, I
Uh,
didn't know that.
yeah, his real name is Nick. I can't think of it right now, but yeah, him and his brother, man, they both were like they did stand up and stuff.
Huh.
People always tell me, would you go up and do a stand up or an open mic or something like that? I'm like, no, I don't think I could do that because it's different. They're like, you can be in front of people playing music. I said, yeah, but when you're on stage and you're telling jokes, people are going to come back at you, and it's only you on stage. And if you fuck up, everybody notices. But when you're in a band and you fuck up, it's not as noticeable because there's either 3 or 4 other people with you. So I don't think I can do it.
That is true. Yeah, like, and I can't imagine, playing an instrument, playing in front of people. I just can't. There's such a big difference. But I will say, like, if you try stand up comedy, I always tell people it's addicting. I told a buddy of mine who's in a rock band.
Okay.
It's called Ploy Machine, I think. And then I got him into doing stand up comedy. I'm like, yeah, you're funny. Like, come to open mic night that I'm hosting. And then he was like, I'm like, hey, you want to go up there? And he's like, all right, I guess so. I have jokes written down, so I'll go up there. And I
Oh, so
warned
he
him,
was
like,
prepared already.
yeah, like he had been writing jokes, and I had been egging him on like months before. I'm like, yeah, you should get into stand up. You should do it. You're funny. And then he's like, all right, maybe I'll try and write a set. I'm gonna have 5 minutes down by the time you do this open mic. And I'm like, all right. And then it took him a little talking into, and then it was like in a setting where I think he like felt comfortable, and um, so yeah, he tried it, and he's like a day later, he was like, respectfully, f you, man, because now everything in my life is a joke. Like, I'm thinking all the time of a joke. Like, it's addicting.
Yeah, it's kind of like once you get the bug, I guess it's what you want to try to do. And like you said, you're trying to work on something. It's like a skateboarder. When a skateboarder is driving in a car, they always look at things differently, like what they can skate. When driving on the street, like a comedian, you're watching something, or you're hearing something, or you see something, you're taking that in. You're like, oh, how can I put that into a joke? And
Exactly, always.
yeah, um, for you. So, what is your goals at the end of 2025 this year?
I want to try and do a show a month.
Okay.
Um, so 12 shows this year. I've got something lined up for next month, the comedy competition next month, and then I got one lined up in April at another like restaurant thing. So we'll see how that goes. If not, like if I can't get on a show, I'm gonna put on my own show. I'm just gonna make it happen. Like I've been going to the open mics, and there's these venue spots around me, and I know comics, so it wouldn't be that hard to put on a show.
So doing open mics, is that would that be different than you putting on doing a show? Would that be different than your 12 shows?
Yeah, I'd consider that different. I think
Yeah.
I want to. I also want to simultaneously do 100 open mics this year. So like, do two a
Okay.
week, and then do a show a month, and also just like grow my like social media following and start getting more active. Like posting the clips up and being active and on top of it.
Yeah. Because I would look at open mics like a band looks at practice, a rehearsal. That's what
Yeah.
I would think, like open mic, because that's where you work out your materials and you see what works or what you need to rework. Do you take mental notes when that's going on,
Yeah, you can.
or do you film all your shows?
Yeah, I try to audio record all my stuff, and then sometimes like they'll have a camera rolling at the open mic. Some of these open mics, so they'll send you your set after
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, but the mental note thing, like sometimes you're in the moment and you're like, all right, well I messed that up. I know where I went wrong with that, and then recording it allows you to go back and just realize your mistake again, like. Because you're not gonna. If I didn't record my sets, I wouldn't remember half of what I messed up on. Or
Yeah.
also, when you listen back, you can be like, "Oh, wait, I can add on to this here. I can, shorten this up here."
And writing comedy too, man, it's like a minute. There's so much shit you can talk about in 1 minute. It's like when I do this podcast, right now we've been doing this for an hour and 22 minutes. But like that first 10 minutes, it's like, whoa, it's like that 10 minutes feels like an hour, because it's like
Yeah.
when you're talking, you can talk about so much shit in a short period of time. Um, what's what advice would you give to a new comic that's coming up in the world?
Uh, just write, and write as much as you can, and then stage time. You gotta get up there and actually do it. When I first started out, I was doing like one a month, and I've come such a long way just from doing like two or three a week rather than doing once a month. So stage time, get your stage time, and write. Also, networking, make connections is a big part of it.
Are you ever just sitting at the house one night and like you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go out and try to get an open mic night in. Is there enough of that in your area or no?
Um, There is, but it's like I gotta drive an hour some nights.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
I will get that bug every once in a while and just be like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go to an open mic night tonight. I definitely got it today. Like I wrote a bunch of new jokes, and I'm like, yeah, it would feel good to go out to an open mic night and try new jokes out. But just kind of laying low before the new year starts, and then I think when the new year starts, I'm gonna just get right back into it. I don't think I've done comedy in like 2 weeks, so this is like a long stretch for me. I usually at least try to get up once a week.
Yeah, it's like so this is my first year doing this podcast. I started it back in March.
Mhm.
My first episode went out at the end of March, and so I'm learning. This is all a learning process for me of what to do, what not to do, how to promote myself, or all that kind of stuff. So now 2025, I want to go out ablazing. I want to go out running because see, I only do one a week, so that's only 52 episodes a year. That's not a
Yeah,
lot, but it is,
right. Yeah, it
Um,
is.
when I first started this, I was like, oh, I'm just going to record, and then put them out whenever I can. No, because then I'm gonna burn myself out.
Yeah,
Um, but if I do get to the point where, because I'm getting more and more people hitting me up. Hey, can we be on? Or hey, can I be on? Or I'll ask somebody, hey, would you like to be on? Or whatever. And if I start getting more and more episodes, maybe I'll do two a week every once in a while. But just put them up there. I found out, really just don't even have to put an episode up. Just throw some clips up there.
that is true. The clips
you
are
know.
big.
Yeah, I just don't know how to make the clips, and that's the hardest part. And then programs cost money.
They do.
Uh,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll just wait till the end of the month and then pay for a month and then just throw them all together. But you don't get a lot of time either. So,
That's true.
but yeah, man. What's your next year? You said so 52 shows you trying to do, or no, 12 shows next year, 100
Yep.
100 open mics.
Yep.
Um, Now, when you go to Texas, man, when you go to Austin, you might be able to get on a lot of open mics.
Yeah, that is true. I might,
Now,
but
are you going to go there just strictly for the comedy, or are you going there for sightseeing too?
yeah, this is like strictly for comedy. Like I'm going there for comedy. If I have some time to go look around and sightsee, I had a friend who lived in Austin for a minute, and she gave me some advice, some things to look at. So I might ride around, go look at something.
Yeah.
But no, I'm there for comedy, so I'm gonna do like as many mics as I can, and I'm counting. I'm going in February, so I'm counting that. That's gonna be like an off month. If I can't get on a show that month, then it's all right. I went to Austin, Texas, and tried and did as many open mics as I can. It's like,
Yeah, and I see too with the mothership, um, all those comedians. I don't know why I try to say comedians. It's all them comedians hang out there. They just hang out front or hang out in the back alley where they all try to get where they sign up at and shit. And I mean, you can sit back there and just load your phone up with people's numbers and network with people back there.
yeah,
And I know a lot of those comedians. I think like Cam Patterson. I think he does like a when he's in town. I think he hosts an open mic night when he's in town.
okay.
Um, it's crazy to see from playing with rocks to look what Tony has done for. And some people hate Tony, because of what he's done with these people and who he puts on and puts out there. But guess what? People are liking them. People like him, so they're seeing them. So obviously, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows who's gonna get traction and attention. Like he doesn't pick people that aren't gonna be funny, or
Mm-mm.
sometimes it happens, but it's like
I mean, there's some people that he's picked that I'm like, but that's not my cup of tea, I guess.
yeah,
I But I mean, to think about like, and I'm gonna be honest, man. Like a lot of those comedians from Kill Tony, I didn't know about until clips and reels started getting really popular.
yep,
So that's when I found out about like for Cam, him or what's his name, Uncle Laser,
yeah.
what's his name, fucking um, damn it, what's his name?
Casey Rocket, that's what you
Yes,
just missed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, see, and Casey Rocket and young dude, 18-year-old guy, who looks like he's 12 years old.
Oh, Heath Cortez.
They were all in Nashville together, with damn it, why am I going blank right now? Hans Kim.
Oh
So
yeah.
because like I guess Hans Kim and those three all tour together always.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hang out with Hans Kim to see what
He's like a
I
wild kid.
yeah, I have a feeling that it probably include doing drugs extensively with him. Or
Definitely.
Uncle Laser is the one that he'd be the one to be like, he'd be the partier though for sure. I like him. I think he's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's
Um,
funny.
so I don't know if I asked you this here, but who is your favorite comedian?
Probably right now, Joe List.
Okay.
He puts out like a great special every year. Yeah, Joe List is definitely one of my favorites.
He where did I see him before? I saw him recently on something.
He does a lot of podcasts and has one with Mark Norman.
Okay, that makes sense then. Mark Norman, God, I can't say enough. I like that guy a lot. Hell, and Ari Shafir,
Yeah,
he's great too.
definitely.
All right, well, man. Well, you said you have a show January 26th.
Yep, January 26th, Cult Classic Brewing. It's a part of a competition. I think it's going on for most of the year.
Okay.
I saw 80 comics are on there, and
Wow.
so we're gonna, I guess, see who's the best. There's a cash prize at the end. It's gonna be like at two different spaces. One's at that Delmar Dream Big venues, the little scene going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'll be at Cult Classic January 26th for that competition. Also January 13th, I'm hosting an open mic at Jackal Brewing, just a comedy open mic.
Cool. And if you have any like, if you post them up or whatever, and I see them, I'll repost them too for you.
Oh, I bet. Cool.
Yeah,
Much
I try to
appreciated.
I try to repost as much as I can. I just with like I have my personal Instagram page. I sound like I'm somebody cool. My personal Instagram page, this Instagram, and then I have a music collection one that I do with I put my records and my CDs and cassettes I collect on.
That's cool.
And so I'm constantly fucking doing like so I try to spend a little bit of time with each of them, which means I don't have a life. No, I do. Yeah, I collect records like it's nobody's business and CDs and cassettes and shit.
That's
Not
awesome.
that it's cool, yeah, but at the end of the day, when I die, they're not coming with me.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I gotta spend money on some shit, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Do you collect anything?
Uh, no, I don't really have a collection of anything really going on right now.
That's a good one. Don't
I
don't start.
I used to really be into like going hiking and looking for mushrooms. So
Okay.
I would like try to identify a lot of mushrooms. That's like the one thing. Like I can't do my taxes or like tip in my head, but I can't identify a lot of mushrooms. So
You can't do your taxes?
I mean, do you do your own taxes? Like the actual form, fill it all out?
I did online. But yeah. I mean, but I got see here's the thing. And you're younger than this guy that I work with. When I was going to school, they taught us that in high school, how to do your taxes and all
Uh,
that, yeah, all that kind of shit. But he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah," but see, I also had like home economics class, which
yeah,
taught you how to cook and sew and all that kind of shit, which is stuff you need to know,
yeah,
but that's how I learned how to do my taxes, and I've done my taxes myself my whole life, I mean, I'm sure if I went to like H&R Block or somebody like that, I'm sure they can probably get me a couple more dollars, but for you, I'm sure it's probably hard too, though. I'm sure you gotta if you travel, do you use traveling as an expense off? Like, do you try to save those kind of stuff or?
no, I should though. Like, but uh, no, I definitely have done TurboTax a few times, but I messed up like
Yeah,
2 years ago. So I did
I
something
get you.
wrong where it was like it wouldn't let me do it the next year. Like it was like
Oh,
try to press the button. It's like no, you're doing it wrong or something. So I'm like, all right, I
gotcha.
messed up the year prior. I must have. So
Yeah,
taking them somewhere else and yeah, but
it's
I've
a
never actually sat out and figured it all out myself.
yeah. I mean, nowadays it's so easy with all the programs online and shit. Because I used to have to take a paper and write them down and then do the math on the computer or on the calculator and then do all that shit. Now you're just like you plug in the one number and it fills in the blanks where it all needs to go and all this shit. But I
Yeah,
see it though. I wouldn't want to fuck them up because I don't want to be paying Uncle Sam anything.
yeah, I know, and I got a lot of like stuff that I like moved around, like that. I'm like now I gotta pay taxes on. So I'm like, all right, I'm not even dealing with the hassle of TurboTax. I'm just handing all the paperwork that I get to somebody and they can do it.
Yeah,
Probably in a
what
couple years, I'll have to do it again on TurboTax or whatever.
I don't I think it's silly too. It's like, all right, so look, I'm your dad, okay? And I had this I have all this money in my bank that I earned from working,
Mm.
but then I'm leaving it all to you. Well, guess what? That money that's already been taxed is going to get taxed again to give to you. And I'm like, man, that's silly. Like all this money. And yeah, I was like, it's already been taxed, but then I'm giving it to you. So you're taxing. But then on your taxes, you'd be like, did you come into any extra money? How much? Okay. And then it's like, so then you'll get some of it back, but probably not all. It's just silly.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you this. You stay away from like from politics and all that stuff in your comedy?
Um, no,
No?
I
Okay.
don't go as deep or like as into it as a lot of comics do. If I do go into politics, I try to make fun of both sides so that it's
Yeah,
funny
yeah,
for
yeah.
everybody. And I will take digs and stabs at one side or the other. So,
The
but
the way I look
some,
at it is if it's funny, it's funny. And if you're like you said, if you go for both sides, that's fine. It's funny. But at the
yeah,
end of the day, some people just take it too serious and it's just a joke at the end of the day.
yeah. At the there was an open mic the day after the election, and it's like so where I go, it's usually like more liberal than where I'm from. So it's like I just went up there and somebody had said like oh, let's try not to do a lot of political stuff tonight. And I'm like, the first thing I said was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do some political stuff. So it's like you can't, as a comedian, you have to talk about some things, some current
You,
events.
yeah. What's the largest crowd you've played in front of?
Probably like 70 people.
That's not bad, you know.
It's not that much, but yeah,
I
70
would.
people. Yeah.
I don't think I could stand up in front of 70 people and tell jokes. To, you know that especially because I mean, and I say that but it's no different than playing a concert in front of people too. You know, but when you're like I said, when you're a comedian, I feel like you're you're open. It's just you. You know, it's just like a man with his acoustic guitar. It's just you and a microphone. That's it.
Yeah, it's definitely different, man.
Yeah.
It's
Have you been heckled?
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
What they say? Do you remember?
but probably like last week or 2 weeks ago, it was like I was telling a joke about how I'm going to different grocery stores because like the dating apps are dead and like the different women that you'll find in the different types of grocery stores.
Yeah, for sure.
And there happened to be like an old lady sitting right there in the front of the row, and I'm like, I typically go to Food Lion, and it's typically like women around her age, and then somebody was like, "What's wrong with her age?" I'm like, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's not for me. And then she chimes in, she's like, "Some grandmas are hot," and I'm like, "All right."
You're right though. Think about it. You go to like I don't know what you guys have up there, but like for me, like Walmart, you know, the girls that you find at Walmart are not going to be the same. You guys have Safeway up there?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like you know, like you guys don't have Publix, do you?
No, no, that's more
Okay.
south.
Yeah, so like there's different like here, like I got like the different grocery store. Like, all right, I know what kind of girls are gonna be at this one, but you are right though. Going to different grocery store is like a dating now. You're gonna find different girls at different grocery stores. You know.
Yeah, and like a wise man once said, pretty women got to eat too. So,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
yeah, it is crazy. You'll find, like, I'm like, in the joke, I'm like, I don't even think I really have to explain the Walmart situation.
Yeah.
So,
And that's everywhere. You know, it's like a magnet for certain people. But
yeah,
um, I was gonna, and you got to go grocery shopping though early though, man. Early in the day,
yeah,
8, 9 o'clock. I found this out recently. I don't always go grocery shopping. I normally, Instacart my stuff. But
mhm,
my neighbor will be like, "Hey, man, I'm going to the store. You want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." And he goes like at 8, so I'll
mhm.
go with him, and then I'll go do my shopping. But I'm like, man, okay, I see.
Yeah.
You know, they
The random times too. Like sometimes, like 11, 2 or 3, because I will have a random day off in the middle of the week, and I'm just
uh
like, all right, you gotta go get the grocery shopping done. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of single moms out right now, and but yeah, it's
Well, let me ask you this question: do you have a girlfriend now?
no single.
Okay. So, if you were at one of these grocery stores and you did see, would you approach them?
I'm working up to
Okay, because
it.
I guess right, yeah. You're like, hey, man, comedy's first. I did the comedy thing. That's my first step. Now, talk to girls is my next step. No, I got you.
Yeah, no, I have
Like,
done it before, like
yeah,
make small talk here and there, but no, it's typically not what I'm going for when I strike up a
yeah,
conversation. It's not my type that I'm going for. It's usually somebody like my mom's age or something.
yeah.
So
You're not gonna walk up and be like, hey, how are the melons? But
yeah,
hey,
no,
what I mean,
I'm
are
just
you?
playing the field.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear you. I hear. Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And you're gonna go to Austin. Who knows what happens in Austin?
hell yeah, that's what
I've
I'm
heard the
saying.
stories. I've heard stories about these Austin people. Look at Heath, man. He met that. He, uh, 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 Sophia or whatever her name
Yeah, he
was.
kept saying her name wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally different name.
And the funny thing is, so I don't know if you noticed. Well, oh, I gotta buy my tickets for. I'm gonna watch the live stream tomorrow and New Year's Eve for Kill Tony.
Oh
So
yeah,
I think it's $25 for both days. But
nice.
but he was like, so he told that joke on New Year's Eve, but then he
Mhm.
also told that joke before that on a Kill Tony episode.
Yeah.
And the same chick came up though. So I was like, all right, maybe she's a comedian too. I don't know. But that shit was hilarious, man. So well, John, is there anything else you want to talk about? You want to mention?
No, I think I got it all out. Just January 26th on a Sunday, called Classic. January 13th, hosting an open mic at Jackal Brewing, and Yeah, just follow my social media, John Stand Up. It's my Instagram. It's my YouTube. Post some like a minute clip on YouTube once a month. I try to, and yeah, just check me out. Follow, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, man, it's been fun, man. It's good meeting you. And it's been cool talking comedy. Because this is the first podcast I've really talked about comedy. Because like I like to talk about comedy, but mostly it's always about music or music or music. You know, I've had tattoo artists on here before. Um, I've had what else have I had? Tattoo artists. I've had writers like filmographers that do filming and stuff.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, I've had a few different. I'm trying to branch it out. So.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
man, it's been real. And till next time, brother.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Later.
See ya.